Stop. Don't buy a home unless you watch this video, because if you purchase a property without watching this video, you could buy a property in the wrong location with the wrong layout at the wrong time. And all those factors, any one of them could cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars when it comes to reselling your home in the future. And you make your money on your purchase. You make your money by buying a good home. So if you're thinking about buying a home, watch this video. Now, the number one question that's probably on everybody's mind, whether you're watching this in 2025 or at some point in the future, is what will the market do? Are prices going to go up? Are prices going to go down? Is now a good time to buy, or should I wait for a better time to buy moving into the future? Now, really what you have to look at is supply and demand. Where is supply at? Is supply growing? Is supply staying the same? What does it look like from a historical basis compared to today? And is that likely to increase moving into the future? What does demand look like? Is demand low? Is demand high? What will that look like moving into the future? Right now in 2025, we're at a point where supply is growing. So we're starting to get back to 2019 levels of supply across the country. And some markets already exceed 2019 inventory levels. Now, at the same time, demand is very low. Prices are high, interest rates are high. So not many people can purchase. So personally, I have chose to buy a home here in Vermont in 2025 because although supply is growing, it's still below 2019 levels here in Vermont. And with interest rates high, prices high, I think when affordability improves, most likely due to interest rates dropping, right? Because we don't have the supply to bring home prices down, then home prices are going to increase. So personally, in my market, I think 2025 is a great time to buy. I'm putting my money where my mouth is, and I purchased a property in 2025. Now, the factors that you need to be looking at are supply versus demand. Will demand likely increase moving into the future? That will bring prices up. As long as there's not enough demand to satisfy the supply, that's when we see this huge uptick in prices like we saw in 2020 and 2021 when interest rates were low, affordability was really high, people were able to purchase properties. And so the only thing that prices could do is they could go up because there wasn't enough supply for the people who wanted to buy properties and who could afford to buy properties. So that's what you need to be thinking about when it comes to timing the market. If you're trying to time the market, at the end of the day, if you're purchasing a single family home, it's really a lifestyle choice. You're buying this because you want the lifestyle that single family home will get you. And ideally, you want to make a smart investment that you'll be able to sell for a profit at the end. But if your lifestyle demands a single family home or a condo, and that's what you want to do, there's not much you can do about the timing of your life. And you're just going to have to purchase that property regardless of what the market is doing. So how do you know you're purchasing a good property versus a bad property? The top three most important things in real estate are location, location, location. All right. I know that's cheesy. You've probably heard that before, but it's really true. If you buy in the right location, then that can make all the difference when it comes to the resale on the back end. If you buy in a location that's desirable, where people want to live in, or a location that is growing and you see that growth coming into the future, then that's a great spot to buy. Personally, where my properties are located, they're located in the greater Burlington area. There's not a ton of new construction going on in the towns that I decided to purchase in. And so moving into the future, I don't think there's going to be a drastic increase of supply in the markets that I buy, which, again, going back to the supply and demand, what dictates prices? If there's not that much supply, then eventually when interest rates come down and housing becomes more affordable, that is going to bring up demand, and that's going to increase the value of the properties I own. Now, if you're considering purchasing a property that's in a flood zone, or you're considering purchasing a property that's next to a busy road that has one of these risks, just know that when you come to resell your property, that is not going to sell as quickly as a home that's on a quieter street or a home that's not in a flood zone. So you have to be aware of these external factors when it comes to your purchase. And maybe that's why you're getting it for such a good deal now on the buy side, but you're not going to see that drastic appreciation that you would see on the back end. Now, what should you look for in terms of the layout of your home? When it comes to the modern style, the modern architecture, the open layout is what people are looking for. That's what's in the magazines these days. Now, personally, I don't live in a home with an open layout, and I love it. So when it comes to layout, what really matters, in my opinion, are the size of the rooms. How big are the bedrooms? Are the bedrooms going to be too small for buyers when you're eventually selling your home? You got to put your buyer's hat on, not only for you, will this work for you, but what red flags would other people have about the layout of the property when it comes time for you to sell your home. So, are the bedrooms too small? Does the layout flow nicely? Even if it's not an open layout, that's the thing. Open layouts flow really nicely, one living space into the other living space. But if you don't have an open layout home, like me, I don't have an open layout property. My living spaces all flow very nicely into each other, which I think is a huge positive on the back end of your sale. Now, the layout and the location of your property, the reason why these two items are so important is because they're the hardest items to change. Location, you're not going to change the location of the property you buy. You're not going to pick up your house and move it to a different lot. You're buying the lot and you're buying the land, or you're buying the condo and the location that that condo's in. So location, you can't change that location. You can change the house. That being said, if you're going to change the layout of a home, that can be a very costly, time consuming, and a difficult investment to get back out of your property. So these two items, location and layout, they're the hardest things to change about a home. Location you can't change. Layout is very difficult to change. So if you're buying a home that's in a tougher location, or you're buying a home that has a rough layout, just know you're going to have to spend a good amount of your money to fix these issues to drastically increase the value of your home, or you're going to, sacrifice some of that appreciation on the back end. So layout and location, those are the most important things to keep in mind. Now, the next thing to talk about, what issues does this property have? Now, if you're buying a home that needs a new roof, that could be 20, 30, even $40,000, depending on the size of the property that you're purchasing. How about the septic system? Is it on public water, public sewer? How is the plumbing in the house? How is the heating in the house? How is the air conditioning? If you're in one of the southern climates, does it have AC or not? Now, if you're in Vermont, if it doesn't have AC, it's not that big of a deal. A lot of houses in this area do not have air conditioning. But if your property has issues with one of these major items, the plumbing, the heating, the roof, some structural issues, those are going to be costly repairs. Now, that being said, if it's factored into the price of your home, then it should be relatively easy to recoup, right? If you have a home that has a big structural defect, but the cost of that property is low because buyers are scared away from this property defect, if you're able to get quotes and understand the extent of the repair that will be needed, you should be able to buy that property, fix the structural issue that's going on with it, and at least get your money back immediately, and then have that appreciation as it's at a good location and has a good layout. Now, issues that I wouldn't worry too much about are cosmetic issues. The biggest one, paint, right? Paint is a pain. I hate painting. I've done a lot of painting at the properties that I own because it's one of the easiest skills to pick up. Now, I'm not a professional painter. My paint jobs, they don't look like a professional would, but they do good enough, and they help me enjoy the property that I am living in. So if the property has bad paint, that's something that you could fix for a couple $100, going to Lowe's, buying the paint supplies, buying the paint, and just investing time in your evenings and weekends to fix that issue. Or of course, you could hire somebody, a professional painter, that would make the property look nicer. Now, some of the bigger items, bathrooms, kitchens, these can be expensive updates, especially if you're not doing the work yourself. Now, I was talking with a friend of mine the other day, and they said that they remodeled a bathroom and it cost them $105,000. Right. Now, most bathrooms, if you're not going high end, they won't cost you $105,000 to renovate, but it gives you a range of how expensive renovation costs are right now. They're very, very expensive. It's not unheard of for a nice high-end kitchen renovation to cost $100,000. $30,000 to $40,000 is a pretty common figure for a medium to high-end grade kitchen renovation. So if the house has an outdated kitchen from the 50s or the 60s, and you want to put in nice cabinets, nice countertops, update all the appliances, you could easily be looking at $10,000 if you're going to be doing some of the work yourself, or, 30, 40, 50, even $100,000 you are going to be hiring that work out. Now, kitchens and bathrooms and paint, this is what really sells the property when you go to resell your home, right? If it has a structural issue, but everything else looks great, the chances are somebody's going to buy that property because they're going to like the way that it feels as a buyer when they're walking through it. Now, the property's dated and needs, to be completely renovated, there's a good chance that they'll get less money. Now, to wrap up this video, what you should look out for most when purchasing property is the location. If you like a home and the property fits really well for you, there's nothing you could do to change the location that the home is in. So making sure that you purchase a property in a location that is going to work well for you, for your family, and is going to be a location that will likely hold its value or appreciate over time, is going to be the best way for you to make a good purchase with your home. The second most important factor, what does the home's layout feel like? Is it an open layout? Is it a closed layout? How are the bedroom sizes? How are the living room sizes? These are factors that buyers, maybe they won't articulate in the feedback that they give you, but it's something that's going through their head when they go to purchase a property and when you go to sell your property on the back end. Now, when it comes to updates, what type of updates does the home need? Is it significant structural repairs or is it just cosmetic stuff? Would a coat of paint and maybe a new vanity in the bathroom completely transform the home? Or do you need to update all the kitchens, all the bathrooms, all the flooring, to replace the roof? Are there foundation issues? How's the heating system? This is what you should be asking yourself as you're walking into a home and at a showing. Now, with these things in mind, you should be able to purchase a property that would work well for you, both in the near term while you're living in the home and translate well to a good sales price when eventually it is time to sell your property. Keep these things in mind while you're at showings, while you're looking at listings on Zillow and Realtor.com. Good luck with your home purchase. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.